Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Friday, July 11th. So happy Friday. It's going to be a no news Friday. Not much going on out there at all. It's been a complete low volume. Doldrums kind of a week, and we got some interesting action. Nice little rally yesterday, complete knockdown in the overnight. I think may have to do with the Trump Canada little spat. I think Trump is setting the rates for Canada right now. So at this point, as I said early on in the beginning of the week, this whole month is going to be all tariffs and earnings, I think. And this is when the tariff deals are supposed to happen, or they'll get just the freaking rate set and then they'll go from there. So uh, it's going to be a very interesting dynamic. Now, you're not seeing that crazy reactions in the market based on this because the market has seen this a few times now. I'm realizing that, yeah, well, tariffs are not going to be as necessarily the end of the world if they get enacted. So it's a lot of negotiations still to have. So I guess a lot of people are just in the wait and see mode when it comes to tariffs. But obviously, there's always some companies getting impacted depending on what the tariff discussion is, and markets will be having some negative reactions to it. So at this point, we were up here against making new highs on the ES yesterday, and then in the overnight, we just retraced the whole thing. So we started off on the long side in the overnight, and after it took out the 63.15, we were back range bound, and we're right back down in this lower range again. Have not taken out the 62.60 to 70s. That attractor right here is still very much intact. They were down, they bounced off it once at 74, 75 here. But I would start off looking for a retest of that level and see if they want to take this lower. Once you reject the edge like this, you can technically the assumption expectation is that you can head back to that mean or to the attractor point 62.70. The next level would be the lower end of the range, which would be the 62.25s. So that's kind of what the dynamic is right now. So I'm going to be looking for a retest of that 72.75 support area, maybe a test of 62.60. If both of them comes out, I would be looking for a short all the way down here to the 62.25s. That I think that could very well be in the cards at that point if they start knocking it down. Remember, this whole move up and down has been on very light volume, and you don't need much volume or any big players to really start leaning into it for the market to move. So starting off with a slight bias to the downside to see if you can retest that low. Now, if support holds at 62.70, 75 here, I would go back range bound pretty quick and then look maybe for an attempt to take it higher again. It's going to be anyone's guess here which side they're going to go. And this don't usually drive the market. Earnings doesn't start until next week. Maybe a headline comes out, maybe not. But if the market is upset about the Canadian tariffs, well, we'll see if they're going to try to retest these lows and maybe take it lower. But technically, I would watch this attractor 62.70. That high volume area it gets tested, comes out. I think we have a shot at taking it down here to that volume edge at 34 or that 3 to 4 little edge here at the 62.25. And if that comes out, well, that's when things starts getting gnarly. Then we are in a spot where we can start retracing this whole thing towards the next attractor down here at the 61.45. So we'll see. A retracement always starts up high, so we'll see how far they can take it. But that's how we get started on the way up. If support holds at the 62.70, 75s, I would look for early on. I would look for shorts against the 62.95s and the 63.10s. These are the two areas I would look for shorts against. Above 63.10s, I would start looking for a move back up again. Still looking for shorts against these 63.15, the 25s and the 35s. Rotations back down, but maybe not as aggressively. If it bounces off that 70, 75 level, takes out the London high and starts trading back up again, I think they're just about to reverse and head back up to new highs. It is a Friday going into a weekend, so I would not be surprised if we I would be a little bit surprised if we see new highs. So I would be more expecting more of a range bound day. If they can't take it lower, they can't really extend, probably going to stay in a range and go sideways. But we'll see. Right now, the setup is pretty good for a potential retest at that low at 62.75, maybe lower. And then let's see how far they can take it. So that's the ES. Looking at the Nasdaq and the bonds. The bond market a little bit to the downside. That's pretty much still sticking in the range. And I keep, I mean, so as long as it stay in this range, the capital flow is range bound, so there's no direction there. On the lower edge, 11, 15, 16, the upper edge, 115, 16. And that's kind of the range. It's like a 4-point range we are trading in. So yes, they were on the we were heading down. And then yesterday we had a nice retracement all the way back up again, and now we are basically back down here towards these lower areas. So I would just look to buy against support against the 13, 15, 16s, 1304s, 13, 12, 30. Looking to sell strength, 1322s, 1327s, 1402, 1407s, 14, 12 to 13, or 12 to 14. If they start trading above the 14, 12 to 14, or they start trading below this area, the 113s, we may have a move going directional move. And as you can tell, I would not be surprised since they backed off a little bit in the overnight. They retraced this little spot here and retest these lows around the 113s. But it's pretty much range bound trading. So I would be looking at trading it as a range bound market. It could be an edge in between here. I did not draw one out here, but it could be an edge in between there as well, but we'll see. So range bound trading on the bonds, no particular bias. If anything, given the overnight, I would look for maybe some early weakness to see if they can run it lower early on here. On the Nasdaq, we are right back into this little attractor area. So they backed off pretty good in the overnight. They didn't quite make new highs yesterday either. So they're still in just stage 3 here, just going sideways. Building value. The little attractor here at the 800, 820. They tested that one, ran right to it in the overnight, bounced off it a bit. And so I'm going to be looking for reaches to that level as well. So initially looking for shorts against the 920s and the 960s for rotations back down. And looking to buy against that 820s. At the first time to it, they bounced. So that first time to a high volume area kind of already passed. So at this point, it comes down here to test support. I'll look for buying opportunities, see if they materialize. If they take out that 800 to 820s, I would be looking for a run down here, all the way down here. Could take it all the way down here to the 590, 600s. There's a little bit of an edge right there at the 730s. There's the lower edge right there, but if they take out that 800 to 820 support area, I think we have a shot at taking it a little bit lower. So same story there as the ES. We'll see how strong the market is, but if they can take it lower and we're not seeing a lot of strength, but yes, going to probably expect a range bound day. If they start trading above that 960s, still looking for shorts against the 23,010s, 23,050s, and the 23,100s for rotations back down again. So it's range bound market on the Nasdaq just going sideways. Yesterday we had a nice move. Well, the last couple of days we were trading here towards the upper end. It looks like it looks like a nice retest failure up here. Not quite up to test the upper edge, but it's close enough to be a retest failure here in the last 2 days. So, and backing off is not completely surprising. And especially if you don't have any news to drive the market. You get like a Canadian headline or something, yeah, it's going to knock it down a bit. So I would start off looking for some early weakness to see if they can retest these lows at the 800 to 820s. And if they take that out, look for further weakness. If not, look for more range-bound trading, maybe even attempt to take it higher again. But buying support areas all the way down to that, just to be clear, looking to buy support areas all the way down here to that lower edge at the 600s and selling all the way up to the 23,100s. It's just like you have a lot of range like that, so you kind of had a little bit, look for good setup and triggers. That's the thing. So it's you don't know which support area is going to hold or resistance area. So just be a little bit patient. There's no rush to get into a trade when the market is light volume and moving like it is. if any big change happens, you won't have, unless you're in a position, you won't be able to catch it anyway. So just look for good setup and triggers, be patient, and trade it like that. Otherwise, chances are you're just gonna get caught in a shitty trade. All right, oil and gold. So oil backed off pretty good yesterday. They backed off that upper edge, nice retest failure going on there. We had an attempt at in the day session yesterday or the day before yesterday to retest that high, they knocked it down. Then to the yesterday session took it even lower, and now we are looking at the retracing a little bit. So reverse retesting 67.30 and the 67.60. So far 60s is holding. I would say if they start trading above 60s, I would say be back on the long side and see if you can retest these highs again. So at this point, starting off range bound, let's see if they can take out that 67.60s. If they trade below the 66.40s, 50s here, I would stay on the short side and see how far they can take it on the downside, or I would switch to the short side and see how far they can retrace it. Now, oil is still trading in a range. And this move to the upside has been a little bit confusing in terms of how much of a move it is. So looking at this guy right now, they backed off this upper edge at 68.80 to 69, but it's a nice ledge right there and trading kind of in the middle of the range, building value. Attractor is a bit lower, 65. So if they take out that 66.50s, I think they have a shot at heading back down to that 65 level. If not, probably going to stay range bound. But oil, definitely interesting that the price is staying high like that. So I think with everything they're doing, it will be coming down, that's for sure. Finally, gold. And a nice move to the upside on gold. Kind of surprising, not much driving it, but it's gold's back up again. Maybe due to Canadian tariff discussions. These reactions to tariffs is just that. Just knee-jerk reactions because it's a headline, a reaction, and once people figure out what actually was said, well, then things change. Or if it's going to be and everyone has come to terms with the idea that if they don't make a deal, there's going to be a tariff set, and then that's going to be it. And so deals will be made. If not, the tariffs will be set. And I think the market has realized that that's not going to necessarily tank the market. But gold, taking out the high volume area at the 33.40s and heading higher, looking for for shorts all the way up to that area at 33.70. So right now we tested the lows, we traced to the mean or to the attractor area and heading back to the upper area of the range is what it looks like. So I would look for short setups against at this point against the 33.60s and the 33.70s. Rotations back down, maybe one level outside of that at 77, but that's about it. So they start taking out the 70s and then the 77s. We are on our way higher at that point. So, but at this point, I'm assuming we're still range bound, even if I'm looking for early strength on gold, see if they can take it higher. So, if you get a little bit of weakness, I would look to buy it against the 55s and the 47s for rotations back up. I think last one would be at the 40s, but you're kind of back in the lower range when you get that far. So I wouldn't be that aggressive. Looking to buy against that 55, maybe down to the 47s, but they back down below 55, so we are kind of all the way back down in this range again. So it is one of those borderline cases where you look to buy weakness, but if they start backing off a little bit more than the 55s, I would probably take it, go back range bound. Still, maybe look for buying opportunities at 47 and the 39 to 40s, but not very aggressively on those two because we are right back at the attractor when that happens. All right, so that's gold. Let's see if that early strength holds up or if we get the reversal early on here. But that's kind of how we get started. So range bound gold looking for early strength. Range bound oil looking for early strength. You can test resistance on both of those. And when it comes to the ES and the NASDAQ, both of them starting off with actually some, and we're looking for early weakness to see if we can take it lower and retest that, see that this backing off from that upper edge. It's going to have a little bit more legs than just backing off the way it has. So, but we are back towards the middle of the range, and they can certainly take it to the other side. So that's kind of what we are looking for. But starting off with a slight bias to the downside, if they can't take it lower early on, I would just go back range bound on that trading and look to fade the edges fairly equally. Alrighty, guys, that's a Friday starting point. Not much news to drive the market, so we'll see how everything is gonna shake out as the day session begins. So good trading. It's Friday, and we'll see you guys back at 11:30 for the next update. All right, guys, later. Can't spell good trading. There you go. Good trading. There you go. All right, later.